All right, let's talk about dating. We're going to dive into a pretty big idea today. What if the whole search for the perfect partner is actually wrong? What if the real secret to being happy in a relationship is finding someone who's, well, good enough? So let me ask you, and be honest with yourself. Are you holding out for the one? The person who checks off every single box on your list? Because here's the kicker. What if I told you that this constant hunt for perfection, science actually says it might be the very thing making you miserable? You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? We've all been there. That endless scroll. You pull out your phone, open an app, and boom, it's just a sea of faces. A literal infinite buffet of people. It's crazy when you think about it. We have more choice in who we date than any other generation in human history. So what happens with all that choice? Well, we turn into these ruthless judges, right? This person's a solid 7 out of 10. But what if a 9 is just one more swipe away? Okay, they're an 8, but I don't know, their profile bio is kind of weird. Nope. And just like that, we're dismissing perfectly good, interesting people because we're totally haunted by this idea that someone even better is out there. And all this pickiness, it just feeds that master checklist we all have. You know the one I'm talking about. It's got stuff like, must be over 6 feet tall, must have this kind of job, has to love the same obscure bands as me, and, oh yeah, has absolutely zero annoying habits. The list just gets longer and longer until it's so specific that, let's be real, no actual human being could ever possibly check all the boxes. Okay, so there's actually a name for this whole feeling. It's a real psychological concept called the paradox of choice. And here's the wild part. All the research shows that our brains just aren't wired for infinite options. You'd think more choices would make us happier, right? More freedom. But it's the opposite. It actually leads to major anxiety, what they call analysis paralysis, and this nagging feeling of dissatisfaction with whatever we choose, because we can't stop thinking, what if I'd chosen differently? So, okay, how does this paradox of choice really mess with our dating lives? Well, it basically splits us into two kinds of people, two totally different types of daters with completely different approaches. On one side, you've got the maximizer. This is the person who feels this intense pressure to find the absolute number one best possible partner. They'll research every option, go on tons of dates, always comparing, always making sure there isn't someone even slightly better out there. Then, on the other side, you've got the satisficer. And listen, this word is key. It does not mean settler. A satisficer just knows what their core needs are, their non-negotiables, and they choose the first person who really meets that good enough standard. And this is basically what it feels like to be a maximizer. Just imagine it. You're standing in a hallway with like 100 different doors in front of you. You're completely frozen. Which one is the best one, you're thinking? What if I picked door 27, but my actual soulmate was waiting behind door 84? That pressure, that need to make the absolute perfect choice, it creates so much stress that a lot of the time you end up choosing nothing at all. But now look at the satisficer. They see a totally different scene. They're not worried about all 100 doors. They see one door that looks pretty great, one that seems to have what they're looking for, so they just open it and walk through. No second guessing, no agonizing over the other 99 doors. They made a good choice, and now they get to move on with their life, completely free from that crippling what-if anxiety. And look, this isn't just a nice idea. It's backed by actual science. The research is super clear on this. Study after study shows that people who are satisficers are just happier. They're consistently more satisfied with their choices. They feel way less stress making the choice. And this is the big one. They experience a whole lot less regret after the choice is made. Because for the maximizer, this endless hunt has a very real cost. It's called decision fatigue. Think about all the mental energy it takes to constantly be evaluating, comparing, second-guessing every single person you meet. It is absolutely exhausting. It leads to total burnout, it makes you cynical about dating, and for a lot of people, it just makes them want to give up completely. And all of this brings us right to the main point, the big takeaway here. Good enough is so much better than perfect. I know, I can hear you thinking it right now. That just sounds like settling. That's just compromise. But I promise you, it's not what you think. So let's be clear about what good enough really means. It is not about settling for someone you're not genuinely excited about. Not at all. It's about being really, really clear on what your core needs are, the absolute must-haves. Things like kindness, respect, shared values. It's about choosing a real, tangible, happy relationship over some impossible fantasy of a flawless person. See, the goal isn't to find the perfect person, because that person doesn't exist. The real goal is to find someone truly great and then build something that feels perfect together. So, I want to leave you with this one last question to really think about. Take a good, hard look at how you're approaching dating. Could it be that your super long checklist, that constant, draining search for a flawless 10 out of 10, is actually the very thing that's keeping you from finding a truly happy relationship? It's definitely something to chew on.